What's up? What's up? What's up? Good evening,
Hello.
gentlemen. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good.
How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Good,
Pretty
good,
good.
good.
Good. Very good. Is our friend here yet, Ting? We always have that always have that Thai follower that's always here right in the beginning.
Let me see. He's not say hi or anything yet, but maybe he'll join in a bit.
Yeah.
A pretty boy, you mean?
Oh, we got James is
Morning,
here. Hello,
gents.
James.
Hey,
Hello,
good morning.
James.
Up and
there he
early. All right. Okay. Nice.
There he is.
Yep.
Called it.
Welcome to our show. Welcome to our show. Oh yeah, new guys. I prefer to call us boy because we are still young. New boys.
Speak for yourself.
All right. Oh, okay. Hi. So while
Hello.
we things, do let us know if the sound is all right because we are in China, so I can hear Eric and Mr. P quite well, and vice versa. So, but you all listen from any part of the world. Do let us know how's the voice, the sound, and the image. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Cool. Great. Hi. Good day. All right. So, what did you have for dinner?
For dinner,
Yeah.
I had fried chicken. What about you, Mr. P?
I was gonna eat some noodles, but my son kept bothering me, so yeah.
So no dinner for P and Ting. You had some pad ki mao.
No. I'm actually really near you, Eric. I'm in Guangzhou right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I just had wonton for dinner.
You should have some bao zai fan.
Oh yeah. I did try. Yeah. Oh.
What are you doing? What are you up to in Guangzhou?
My kids had they have a baseball camp, so we all come here, and they
Play
just
baseball.
Yeah. It's in
Nice.
Zhongshan. Zhongshan is like the city of baseball, it seems.
Nice.
So yeah, in the daytime they just go out for the camp, and then I work from the hotel.
Go Giants, right?
Yeah, sounds good in Thailand. Look pretty today, Panyawat. Wow, from Seoul. Wow, nice. The weather could be quite cold there too, I think.
It's cold here in Shenzhen.
Yeah, in Zhongshan here is pretty cold too. Near San Francisco. So you left Guangzhou back to San Francisco, or also?
Hey,
All right.
Neo San Francisco, did you end up driving any Neos out here? I know we talked before, right? You've been out here for like a month now. Nice. What did you drive? How do you like it?
Nice.
Oh yeah, -10 there.
Oh,
Over here it's like around 6, but it's 6 with humidity, so it's really freezing. Like EP.05 E. I got some cool trailer for you guys and all the viewers to have a look as well. Just before we bring up our guest, right? But before that, maybe we just get it started, Eric.
sure. Yeah, let's get it started. And today, hopefully, we're gonna try to keep it all really quick. So good thing we're starting right now, Ting. Yeah. So everybody, welcome back to the unofficial NIO Podcast. Blue Sky coming. Today we have. Well, let me just introduce myself. My name is Eric. Below me down here we have
Mr. P, what's up?
Yeah.
And
over there we got Ting. And today we're going to have a very special guest who's going to come on. In a little while he will join us. But first, I think Ting wants to drop a little trailer for his channel, and then we're going to get right into our discussion.
Sure. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's take a look.
5 days, 1,000 kilometers plus, cruising at heights of over 4,800 meters, spectacular snow-capped peaks, luscious mountain valleys, and desolate intrigue. We drive snaking mountain tarmac, punishing roads, and dizzying high roadways. We take the NIO ET5 touring from China's western city of Chengdu, famed for spicy food, hot pot and pandas, along the infamous 318 National Road and heading south to the world famous beauty of Shangri-La. And then we push it a bit further. Can you really take an EV into the middle of nowhere with no worries? Well, NIO claims you can take a NIO, no sweat. So let's give it a go.
Yes.
Nice.
So that is, if anybody doesn't know, that is Will. His channel is ChinaDriven, and you guys all need to go and give him a follow because we're going to talk to him today. And I don't know if he is he already here?
Yes, we can bring him up.
Okay, so we're going to get started. We're going to bring Will on the show. Everybody, we're going to put a link to his channel and welcome Will, one of a great China-based car YouTubers.
Hi.
What's up, Will?
Don't have a fancy background like some of you guys have.
No, it's okay. I just blur mine, so it's just all curtains and stuff.
I
thought I was watching Top Gear for a minute.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's a little advert of our trip for the NIO Power Journey. Yeah. So how are you all?
We are all doing fine.
Good.
Brilliant.
Good, pretty good.
Yeah. Everyone ready for Chinese New Year?
Yeah. Always ready for Chinese New Year. You're going to Thailand?
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah. I'll be back to Thailand in February. Just for a quick one, for a short trip, I think. Are
So
you
like
all
I said,
you all in China during Chinese New Year?
Yeah, I'll be in my wife's hometown, so I'll be driving down there.
Cool.
Yeah.
So like I said, we're going to try to keep it on schedule tonight. So why don't we just jump right into it? Mr. P, do you have any news or anything we want to share before we get into talking to Will?
So we actually got pretty breaking news. That is, of course, NIO today launched their new insurance package, the WorryFree service and everything. It's actually changed from before. They sort of minimized a lot of the freebies, and also they polished it. All right, so I would use the word polished. They made it less cash burn intensive, and they limited some of the things that were unlimited before. For example, the old package used to have like unlimited service pickup. So if you need to like service your car, just get NIO to send somebody to pick up your car and drive it to the service center, and you could do that for as many times as you want, and it was unlimited. But obviously, that is a big cash burn expense, and so they're cutting that down. It's no longer going to exist, but you can use vouchers for it. And then they also have like they also removed like free NIO points from it, and they lowered the amount of like loaner card that you can borrow if you have to service your car for a bit longer. So they made the package a lot more like polished. That's what I would say. Obviously, the response within the NIO community here in China has not been too positive towards this, because some people are saying the service is lowered in terms of quality. But in my opinion, I understand. I mean, like NIO's gotta like make things that can last for a long time, and not just waste money on a lot of stuff that could be saved, I guess. So they're polishing a lot of things, cutting down on wasteful spending. That's the best way to say it. Yeah. So this is pretty good.
So worry-free is now a little bit of worry.
Yeah. There's actually 3 packages now instead of 2. They got like a light package, a medium package, and then the worry-free. But some people are saying, yes, like you said, now we got to worry about service package. But we'll have to see.
Have you
Go
ahead, Will.
I would say like it's actually something that I remember when I bought a NIO and I was telling people about certain things like of the NIO service. Like a lot of people were quite rightly so going like, yeah, but how long will that last, right? It's much easier to provide all of that service to a smaller number of users, but once the user base gets larger, just like picking up cars to service centers, like all of a sudden you need a lot more people just driving cars backwards and forwards all day, right? So it becomes a huge strain. hopefully it doesn't, the service doesn't get pared back that much in coming years, and they find a nice balance that they can keep going forwards.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I also want to add to that, like, they had a Q&A session, and I watched the Q&A session. One new owner brought up a very good question. It was the fact that the ET9 is coming out, and of course, that is the ultra high end in terms of luxuriousness. And if they only had those three options in terms of service packages, that would not match the status that a ET9 buyer would be at. So that was a very interesting exchange between that NIO owner and also the CEO. And the CEO really took that in, and I think they might also come up with like some additional stuff that you can add money and get like more service, essentially, like by adding more money. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting.
Super heavy duty ultra deluxe ET9 worry-free service.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
probably exclusive.
add on, right? Like add on for such edition of the model, you can add a little bit extra, and then you get the perks just for this model. I mean, it got a lot of good stuff in there, like a high tech stuff. So I think people still will be more kind of worry free, really, if they have that kind of add on. The add
But I mean,
I mean,
even if
have you guys all bought worry-free service?
Yeah.
Sorry, Will, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did. But I was just going to say, even if you have to add a little bit of money, or even if you have to use some vouchers, I mean, still a lot of those service options, you still don't get them with other car brands directly, right? So even if you do have to pay, I mean, my NIO doesn't need to go in for a service that much. I'm sure I can cover it through vouchers, because I don't, for instance, use vouchers to do car washing, right? So there are, I'm sure I'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
I'll know better when I go and re-up, which should be actually quite soon, my WorryFree package. Then I'll know better, I guess.
Yeah, and the thing is, it still achieves the purpose of saving people money and then saving people time and being essentially worry-free. And it still achieves that, but like they're just scaling things down a little bit to cut some of the waste and cut some of the abuse, because some people have been abusing it, the loopholes to get like free NIO points and that kind of stuff. So they're just limiting that. So that's pretty good.
Nice. Do we have any other new news or rumors this week, Mr. P?
Not really, but we do know that the refreshed version, 8295 version of all existing NT 2.0 NIOs will come starting March 1st. So very soon they're going to have the 8295 chip on all NIOs, and for existing NT 2.0 cars, which I think Will and Ting have, you guys can upgrade it, probably upgrade it. I'm not too sure, but for first gen NIO owners, we were able to upgrade to the 8155 chip with a paid upgrade. So that's probably something that they will offer. Yeah.
So I'm a little bit confused, because when Banyan 2 came out, there was a big thing about the fact that it was drawing on the NVIDIA chips for some of its processing power. So does that mean that if they're going to the 8295 chip, that they won't need to use the processing power? Because right now we know, until NAD comes out, that the NVIDIA chips are not really being fully utilized. So they stole a bit of processing power when they did Banyan 2, so they could keep it kind of snappy and responsive. So I wonder if they will if they can redirect and leave all that processing power.
Well, that's exactly the point. A lot of NIO owners here in China have said that with the 8155 plus some of the Orin X processing power is actually still more powerful than 8295. Okay, but the 8295 is a selling factor. Some people look at that, and then they look that you have the last generation of chips. The other guys, the other competitors, all right, which we're going to talk about in our video with you, they have the 8295. So which one do I choose? Do I choose the one with the 8295 chip or the 8155 chip? So that has become a sort of like a hesitation point for a lot of consumers. So that's why they're adding it. It was bound to happen. I was told that it was going to happen in third quarter of this year, but it seems like they're pushing things ahead and putting it in March. So that's pretty good. Yeah.
So I guess this
But
might
still,
be
like for you guys, yeah, for you guys, you probably don't need to upgrade it if you don't want to. The processing power will probably not be that much different for you guys since it does use the Orin X chips processing power. Yeah. So we'll have to see how big of a difference it has on like everything for the computer in the car. Yeah.
So I was just going to say this might be a great time to bring up a question from our email from last week. Actually, somebody asked, they mentioned 8295 chip. They said, what new features could it bring, and what does it bring passengers? So it's just like the fluidity of the main screen. It's the only real thing you're going to notice, right, as a passenger or a user of the car, right?
Yeah, I've noticed personally, like, oh, go on. Sorry, I've noticed personally from the last, what are we on now, 2.2? I've noticed a little bit of a delay and a little bit of responsiveness has kind of gone away a little bit on 2.2. A little bit on the startup, it's got a little tad slower. So maybe if they use 8295, it just works better than drawing power from a separate place, right? So
yeah, definitely.
Like Mr. P said, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, right?
Yeah, on paper it's 8 times faster than the 8155, but I guess they might have like better auto parking, maybe stuff like that. Like, yeah, maybe voice assistant might be faster, Nomi might be faster, that kind of stuff. But it wouldn't be too big of a difference. It would be like to just let the consumers be happy and buy the car. Yeah.
Just so on a spec sheet, if you look at it against other cars, you can see it's the same specs, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So do you want to, today we're going to talk, our main topic of today is the competition here in China, right? And Will, as a big time YouTuber over there with his channel, he's tested a lot of cars and seen a lot of cars. So we're going to get into talking with Will about that. So who wants to lead off with the first question for Will?
I'll start off actually. So there's been a lot of news here in China with hi-fi, right? Especially hi-fi sort of getting in a lot of headlines, especially maybe not paying suppliers, running low on cash, deliveries not doing good, that kind of stuff. And even big car websites here in China, like Dcar, have reported on perhaps they're not going to maybe not make it, essentially. So you've done a video on hi-fi and hi-fi Y and that kind of stuff. So if we look at the deliveries of hi-fi Y, it's obviously not anything compared to what NIO is doing, and they've priced the thing at the same price point as a NIO ES6. So where do you think the problem happened with hi-fi Y, or how does the car compare to a NIO ES6 in your opinion?
So I think like one of the big problems for hi-fi is like, look, for a long time, and I'll still like a lot of people online complain NIO don't advertise enough or something, but I personally feel that NIO is almost an advertisement company that sells cars, because they do a lot of like with inside their own community, right? They do a lot of self-promotion, right? I don't think that hi-fi really have done a lot of advertising in China, not to the level where they need to be to create this kind of premium kind of view. I actually have a video coming about the BYD seal that I drove in the UK. I took my dad out in it. And like one of his big things was, you know, I was asking about Chinese cars in the UK, and he just said basically, we don't know the brand, so why would we trust and buy them? Right. And I think that rings true also for new brands in China. And as soon as you start asking people for a lot of money, you know, people are they're more worried. Like, is this car company going to make it? Like, how good are the cars? Like, I don't know anybody who's got one. I haven't seen one. A lot of unanswered questions come up. I can say from driving it, like, there's a lot of really good points about the hi-fi Y. Like, it is extremely quiet, it is extremely comfortable. The rear wheel steering does feel really, really good in it. there's also some letdowns in the hi-fi where I think for some of the money, even in the hi-fi, I always get these wrong, Z, the sedan, because I have done that, although I didn't put the video out. There's some plastics in places that shouldn't be in a car of that value, right? And I actually said it's about the NIO ET5. I say, you know, some people don't like it, but I say the ES6 is much better designed on the interior because the material qualities are much nicer. I like the center console wrapped in leather rather than the plastic in the ET5, right? So I think when you start getting to really, really high level prices, like all of these little small things, they do come into factor, right? Because people are looking at it and then they're looking at other cars like, I don't know, some of the Geely brands, for example. Some of the Geely brands punch way above their weight in material qualities. Hi-Fi, I think, is a bit hit and miss in areas, right? As well as there's so much tech there that some of it makes you wonder, how reliable is it? Like they'll claim their robot arm is, you know, 100,000 times or whatever to be tested, but still you're like, you've got those dodgy doors, you've got this movable screen. Like that's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that could go wrong, right? So maybe it's just too ambitious. Maybe it's just a bit too weird. Yeah.
Okay. So just a follow-up question. Actually, one of the viewers asked, Subbrand launch as soon as possible. When will it happen? So here's another question. So you've mentioned that you took your dad, you've driven a BYD with your dad, and he said the biggest problem was not knowing the brand. So with NIO here in China launching the Subbrand, right, as a whole new brand, I wonder what your opinion is towards this move instead of maybe having it launched in the NIO brand, and also how successful do you think it will be with brand recognition and all that kind of stuff?
It's a tough one, I think, because like we do complain about certain brands like Geely or GAC who just seem to open a new brand every single day of the week. But I think there is room definitely for, you know, a car brand to have multiple brands inside their umbrella corporation, and some have done it very well. And it's also been a thing that's happened a long, long time in Chinese auto, long before EVs. You know, they were opening up multiple SUV brands and then closing them and opening up a new one. So can it be done? I think it can be done. I think NIO have a good shot because I think they've done so much to get their name out there. Everyone in China knows NIO, even if they're not all buying NIO, which may be a different discussion. Everyone knows the name. And I think it'd be very easy for them to associate their new brand with NIO in the fact that, you know, we own this brand. But how much of a connection how strong they should make that kind of connection, I don't know. You know, should it be kind of VW and Audi where everyone knows that, you know, Lamborghini and Audi and VW all belong to VW? But it's not like you go into an Audi or a Lamborghini showroom and they showcase the fact they're owned by VW, right? So I don't know. I'm interested to see how they tackle that. I don't think it should be under the NIO brand though, because I don't think you can go any lower than the ET5 before you start diluting what the brand means. And if you look at like Mercedes and BMW and all of these, you know, they're cheap cars like the 1 Series and the A Series. We're seeing a slow retraction of these cars, I think, from these brands. I think in the future we're going to see these brands kind of maybe not focus so much on these cheap cars and focus more in the mid and high end of their ranges.
Exactly. Like launching it under the NIO brand you would have to make the car much worse than the ET5. Otherwise it defeats the point. Whereas with a sub-brand you can do whatever you want. That's cool. Yeah. Just a quick to answer a quick viewer's question. Blonde21 said, "Why doesn't NIO deploy its new chips in power swap stations to prove its innovation?" They do. They have the Orin X chips in the swap stations with LiDAR and they incorporate that for better swapping. So yeah, question answered.
Oh, and they talk about
Moving
what's
on.
that chip that NIO made though? Didn't NIO release? They made
The
some
God chip.
The NX chip, the God chip, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. too much
Autonomous
about that.
driving chip, yeah. That's still
Right,
not
yeah.
ready yet.
It's for
Right, because we're still all using on Orange, right?
Yeah,
swap version 4, right?
yeah.
Hey, I may bring up one. He wrote in Thai, but I'll translate for you. It's quite interesting. Eddie, he said that NIO should sort of design the NIO Life product, which is related to exercising, and then put the power into the pack on somewhat, and then use that to sort of like replenish all the power in the battery. But it's a little bit a lot of imagination there, but for charging maybe it's enough.
Like a
but
hamster on a wheel kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just
Hamster on the wheel.
charging the phone, it may be good enough, but for the car, it will be a huge challenge. You may need to have
like
like
Flintstones.
right nearby at the same time, and then ride it for 15 kilometers just to charge 1% of the maybe.
Yeah, probably.
So, Will, I have a question for you. Just in general, where do you see the market going for EV and PHEV, like cars in general in China, like this year, especially 2024?
Okay. Well, I will preface this. I'm not an analyst, right? Or really like that thing. But what I've heard and what I've read is basically, I think that PHEVs in the fact of EREVs are still here to stay for a while. I don't think they're going anywhere quickly. In fact, we're seeing an expansion of them with other manufacturers now adding them to their lineups. And that's because, like, whether people like it or not, when they move around these lists of NEVs in China, because they don't like the fact that Li Auto or Aito are included in them, you can't ignore the fact that they are dragging in a lot of sales. So, these car brands, if they're not profitable, they're not making money, then they're going to go bankrupt. So they're looking at it as a case that, look, people obviously there's a lot of people out there who want to buy EREV, so they can offer their car with EREV, then they may have a better chance of selling more cars and continuing the journey, producing more EVs and things like that. As far as EVs go, obviously we're definitely getting into the charging wars now on speed. I think with Li Auto definitely has thrown down the gauntlet of what 500 kilowatts plus should be able to do. So I think we're going to see a lot of people coming out with similar times, because it's only a matter of time until everybody is running 5C, right? We already see NIO building out 500 kilowatt chargers, right? And I think Xpeng also, or are they 400 kilowatts? I don't know if they did the 500 kilowatts, but we're going to see faster, larger chargers. We're going to see more and more people fighting over charge times. I think that's going to become really, really key again. Right, it kind of went to the background when everybody kind of hit 30, 20-minute kind of charge times, kind of what Teslas were doing on superchargers. Everybody kind of stopped a little bit, and now we're seeing the next kind of big jump. Right, Xpeng tried it with their 4C, but it was a bit too early and it was a bit too costly. I think the way that Li Auto has done it is more successful because basically all their cars have that capability, all the Li Megas have that capability, so they have to build the charging network, whereas Xpeng used it as a option, and therefore lots of people didn't buy that expensive option. So then they were like, why are we building all of these charge stations, right? So I think charging is going to be a big battleground. Obviously, NIO's got power swap, but we also know for the NT3, that charging speed should be massively improved as well on NIO platforms.
I have a follow-up question real quick, Will. When do you think we will see peak PHEV in China?
Peak PHEV. Oh,
Yeah.
Well, we all know that Lee's about to release their 2024 models, right? And they're going to release the L6. So if we can call them the leaders in the REVs in China, I mean, they're not looking to stop anytime soon. I mean, peak. I still reckon it's got at least two or 3 years to go. Personally, I don't see it going away as fast as everybody thinks, because a lot of analysts or a lot of observers or a lot of people that do cars, they live in Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, and sometimes you kind of get blindsided, as you know, Eric, because you've traveled around China, that as soon as you go outside of those cities, and especially once you go past the middle into the west or up into the north, charging infrastructure isn't the same. Right, so it's still going to take a long time for some of those areas to fully commit. Right, so there's still a long way until I think EREVs are done. At least 2, maybe 3 years. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, like here in China, a lot of people are still insecure about owning an EV with charging times, maybe winter range not being there. And I talked to a friend who bought an EREV, and he said it was basically because there's so many gas stations out there, right? Like with swap stations, it's not nearly as much as the gas stations. So in terms of convenience, this gasoline is still, there's more option, right? So that was his excuse. So obviously, EREVs are here to stay for a while. So yeah.
But it's true, like where I am in China, in Changsha, right? I'll go down to my wife's hometown, right? There is either way, there's a Gen 1 swap station, right? And there are swap stations all down the G4 from Beijing all the way down to Guangzhou. However, if I want to take the G401, there are no swap stations on that motorway, right? So, as a NIO user, I'm actually limited on what routes I can take long distance. Sure, I can take long distance routes, as we will discuss later, but it's still not a free for all. So like if it's Chinese New Year and the traffic's bad, you don't want to travel on the motorway, you want to go on the national road. Well, you can do, but you might have trouble finding a charger along some of those kind of towns and villages you're going through, right? So that in certain parts of China, yeah, it's still not like Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen. These are completely different beasts in terms of the EV adoption and the infrastructure. And where I am is still massively better than it is in the UK, for example. But yeah, they're not the same. So I can see there's still some need or people worrying in let's say most of China, like really once you add up everywhere else, right? But Eric's done loads of Western China driving. He's very familiar with, I'm sure, with the kind of pigeonholed routes that you have to take if you want to use an EV.
Yeah, definitely. Most of my driving was about 2 years ago now, though, so I'm sure it's gotten a lot better. But for sure, you got to kind of pay attention to where you're going.
All right, Ting, you got any question for Will?
Actually, the point saying that people are still buying EREV and stuff. Few of my friends actually, their reason is slightly different. They still want to keep the gasoline license plate. They don't want to.
Yeah, that's Beijing stuff. That's Beijing stuff.
The big city stuff. They don't want to keep the gasoline plate, right? So because first, I'm not sure whether it's right to say in here, but you can sort of like make money from it. I don't want to go into details, but gasoline plates still
yeah,
has.
You can rent plates out. You can rent whole cars out that got plates. Yeah, I know some people that rent cars because they want a car, but they can't get a plate. Yeah,
exactly. And the price is like they can really get a good money especially if they travel out somewhere, live somewhere outside China for a few years, something like that, but they still have that plate. So they don't want to give that up for an EV because you can switch only once. And then if you switch back to gasoline once again, and you switch one more time, then that's it. You will stay with the EV plate.
Yeah, back into the lottery. Yeah.
Yeah. But why you pick the NIO, Will? You try so many cars. Why NIO?
Yeah. So actually, to be honest, I nearly bought a P7. That was the first car I nearly bought. I nearly bought a P7. The reason why I didn't was where I was living. It wasn't. I couldn't put in any home charging. Right. One, I couldn't buy. There wasn't any free spaces left in the community, and even still, the community was too old to actually install a charger without like huge personal cost to me, because nobody had done it. Right. So, battery swapping allowed me to, get power without having to charge at home. And I didn't fancy, once a week just sitting like miserably at a DC fast charger, and charging, right? Because, and also, it's not good for the battery if you're just doing that all the time, which is what I would have to do, right? So that was that was a big factor, because I used to also live between two swap stations. Both were like 10 minutes either way. And then obviously I like the car. I like the ET7. Like I said, so there's a video of my ET7 on my channel, and I said that, I wasn't a big fan of the NT1 cars, because I wasn't looking for an SUV, right? I was looking for a sedan. And there wasn't anything about, and then the ET7, kind of got rumored. I was like, okay, maybe I'll wait for this and see what this is like. And then I liked what I saw, and I bought it. Yeah. Well, no, that's a lie. I didn't jump at NIO Day. I waited until they came out. I had a ride in one, then I waited until a few people got them, and then just, double check that everything was okay. I think like, I saw something the other day about EV. Somebody was complaining about, I think it was about the Cybertruck, and about, the potential quality issues. And somebody else wrote in a comment, I remember when people used to tell you don't buy the first model year of a new car, right? And I thought about it, I was like, that's true. Like, because it's always the first model years that have problems, and then they get sorted out afterwards. So I didn't wait a year, but I waited a good 6 months just to see, there wasn't any huge, issues, because it was a new platform as well, right? Everything was brand new. But yeah, I pretty much made up my mind when I saw it on NIO Day. I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to buy that car, and I did. Yeah. And also the service is, it's second to none as well in China. So yeah, I really enjoy the service. And I got a new fellow, and he speaks English, which is fantastic.
And he's based in Changsha?
He's based in Changsha, but like, I always make a joke with them, because whenever I go to the NIO house, the guys that make coffee always speak English, but none of the fellows could. Because the coffee guys are always like university kids, right? So they're all doing English classes. So they could all speak English, but none of the fellows could speak English. So it was a bit of a running joke that we had. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to use the WeChat Translate all the time, and a Google Translate.
Yeah. Well, we all want an English NIO app, right? With some auto-translated features. That's what we all want.
True.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add in on the I just wanted to add in on the EREV thing. So we talked about license plates, but actually in some smaller cities, you could use an EV plate and buy a EREV, which is very attractive for those people in those smaller cities, which is pretty insane. It shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
Well, no, in our city, it's Shang. So because of Hunan, it's Shang A because it's Changsha. If it's an EV, it's Shang AD, and if it's a hybrid that meets the certain restrictions, then it's Shang AD AF. Sorry, right? But that's only going to last for so long, right? It's like taxis are like AT, and then when they run out of T's, it goes to AX, right? But at the moment, that's what it is in Changsha, but there's no plate restrictions here, right? So, yeah, but
that's
Lexus
good.
still don't qualify for a green plate. Yeah,
I see. The big city only, I think, this plate restriction. So
well, it's a congestion thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot drive every day, right? So at least one of the day, then you need to park the car and then call a taxi or something. So
Beijing is dumb, man. Like, I buy a car, I want to drive it every day. I don't want to buy a car and only get to drive it half the time. I don't like this rule.
That's why. Yeah, that's why you should get the EV.
Beijing is dumb. Yeah.
Eric, you were saying.
Yeah, I have another question for Will, actually. Since you brought up Xpeng a little bit, and last week we actually talked about like why people are still buying like Tesla so much in China on our podcast. But like, so my question is with regards to the competition, especially like the supposed Model Y killers that keep coming out, like the Xpeng G6, right? Like, what happened to that? Why is it selling so I would say probably poorly?
It wasn't, but it is right now. But we're also going into Chinese New Year. It's generally a down time for sales this time of year because Chinese people, everyone's getting the money in. It's Chinese New Year. Everybody needs to get the money in. No one's going to make huge purchases before Chinese New Year. The problem is everything moves so fast, right? And as soon as you bring out something, somebody else brings out something else. Why is Xpeng not hitting, huge targets? It's a question everybody asks, right? But I think, look, the G6 is a very capable car. I think that for the price, what you get in terms of the kind of space and their kind of ADAS systems, I think is really good. Could it be better looking? It could be better looking.
Yeah, it could be.
Right? But also Xpeng is also, everyone has to remember, Xpeng is also going through a huge leadership overhaul and a huge company overhaul, which they've been doing in the background, right? So before VW, invested and all of that, before that, they had a new CEO come in. There's been supposed to be a lot of changes inside the company. I feel talking to them and doing stuff with them, they seem far more refocused, kind of back onto cars. Because for a little bit, like they were kind of wondering, let's make this robotic kids ride-on toy, and let's do flying cars. They're still doing the flying cars, but it's its own. You know what I mean? But it feels like they've refocused and redoubled down on ADAS, which is literally what their big selling point is over their competitors. The problem that I've always said to them is, on a test drive around the block, how do you prove to me that your city ADAS is better than your rivals, right? On a short journey around the block, right? It's very hard to prove that technology in a short amount of time, right?
I just want to quickly add to that.
Go ahead, P.
All right. So I think the G6 died down because of the IM LS6, which has been selling like crazy. Actually, it's pretty much like a G6 but cheaper, around the same price but better specs. So it's crazy the competition here in China. So Will, have you ever test drive or the LS6 or seen one in person? What's your opinion on that car?
I haven't seen one. I did see a Hi-Fi Y the other day. We were talking about that earlier. My first one ever out in the wild. But no, I haven't. The LS6, I saw it at the would have been Guangzhou Auto Show. I don't think it was brand new. And I also saw it no, it would have been Guangzhou Auto Show. But yeah, but I mean, overall, like IM's another one. Like the IM L7, like that big hubbub about that when that came out, and then that kind of died away. Then they were like, we've done a super sporty version, and then that kind of died away. And then they did the LS7 where they were like, okay, let's make it an SUV because SUVs always sell. So I think like, this always happens when a new car comes out. And I also point out to people, NIO people as well on online, there's always a peak in deliveries for like 3 months or 2 months, because you get a load of pre-orders and then you're not at full production capacity. So you've got to work the backlog, right? So it looks like, wow, this month we've sold and delivered loads. It's like, no, you sold those, over the past couple of months, and you're slowly churning them out as your factory ramps. It's once you get up to full scale production and you've cleared that backlog, then we see really what the monthly deliveries of that car are, right? So we always kind of see an initial spike and then a kind of flattening off. Yeah.
So when it comes to the competition, Will, do you see though anybody really having a real competitor for, like, say, the Model Y?
So the Model Y is the Model Y. Tesla is Tesla. I mean, it's basically running off the same kind of cachet as like Audi was Audi. Like, were there competitors to the Audi A6L? Sure, there were. Did people buy them? Not if they could afford an Audi A6L. They didn't. You know, and the problem we got right now is that Teslas aren't that expensive anymore in China. They're cheap, really. And sorry, Ting, you drive a Model S. It's different. Model S and Model X, we put them out there. They're different. That's imported. But 3 and Y, that are built in China, you know, they are relatively cheap now compared to the rest of the world. And they still have their brand name and brand image as a foreign maker. They're still the kind of granddaddy of EVs, and they're still running on that. How long they can run on that, I don't know. Like, is there anything that's better than the Model Y? Yeah, loads of cars are better than the Model Y. Loads of them for Chinese consumers, right? If you want something that's got really kind of weighty steering or like that kind of stiff suspension, you won't find that on a Chinese car because Chinese consumers don't want it. And then people are like, yeah, but why would they buy a Model Y if they don't want? Well, because they buy the Model Y because they want a Model Y. They don't buy a Model Y because of the spec sheet. And I think this is where people get conflated as to, you know, why people buy certain things. It's not, you know, there are some of us that will look at the spec sheet and go, oh, this one's got this. And other people, you know, I ask my wife, she'll go, I want a white car. You're like, well, any particular one? An SUV? Right, you know, and then, you know, the people out there that don't care that much, and they buy a car because they know it, they've heard of it, they've seen it, they like it, they might like what it stands for, they might like Elon Musk, they might like, you know, whatever it may be, right? So Tesla still has brand cachet in China. The Model 3 refresh was very weak source, in my opinion. But I mean, have you seen any? I've seen one. There's one that's outside my kids' school, but I haven't really seen loads on the road.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because they're not up to production. Yeah. So I don't. Yeah, there's loads of better cars than the Model Y, but people are not buying them. Like, just because something's better doesn't mean people necessarily buy. I know it sounds silly, doesn't it? But there's lots of examples where something is objectively better, but it just doesn't talk to people, whether that's because of the brand or some other reasons, right?
Yeah.
Interesting
answer.
So the other thing is, though, in light of that, is this is why Chinese brands cannot follow Tesla's way of doing things, because Tesla is the first one that did it. You can't just copy what they did because you won't be able to replicate it, right? The hype, the cultish nature. Yeah, NIO has a lot of fans, and NIO, definitely has some of this aspect. But, Tesla was the first one to do it, right? And this is why it can do it. The Wuling Mini became a cult classic instantly. And yeah, everybody has their own little mini EV, but no one's touching the Wuling Mini. Like, that is still outselling everybody by far. It doesn't matter if Chery has technically a better mini EV or Geely's got one. Like, the Wuling Mini EV, it is the original. It is Heinz ketchup. It is Heinz baked beans, right? I don't know if that references to you guys, but yeah, it's the original, right?
It's
the Coca-Cola. It's the classic Coca-Cola, right? The best you can hope for is Pepsi.
Then what do you think about the 25 grand Tesla, which is planned to come out soon, the Redwood project?
Soon, 2025. Wasn't that when it was? Soon.
Yeah.
So another
maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I mean, yeah.
It was like top of the town. Yeah, 25 grand or less.
It's got to be less. It's got to be less now. It has to be less now.
It has to be less.
But again, if Tesla puts out a $25,000 vehicle, all the people that can't afford a Model 3 we'll buy that one. So, look, I'm not under the illusion that Tesla is dead and out of the game, right? I still think they've got a lot of, like I said, brand cachet to go. But I don't know. I want to see what they do with the Y, and I want to see them do more in their cars, right? Okay, yes, I know they're doing FSD beta in America, but I want to see more from their cars. I want to see more features, more functions. Yeah.
Next question.
This is interesting. I didn't listen to the whole call, right, on the earnings call. Elon Musk did say this.
Yeah,
yes,
he said this, yeah.
He did say it.
Okay.
Because
He said
they're
that
under
if it
pressure
wasn't
here.
for, go.
Sorry, you
so
go. So
he's-
we got a slight delay. Yeah.
yeah, so he did say that if it wasn't for like protectionism and tariffs and all that kind of stuff, Chinese EVs will demolish. That's the word he used. Demolish global rivals. Basically, they would get wrecked. Yeah, essentially. And you're seeing that. Like like BYD is selling more EVs than Tesla right now here in China. Imagine if BYD also sold in the US. They're selling in Europe, but it's not getting much traction because people don't know the brand. But, it's just a hypothetical situation. Right?
They're going to Rwanda. That's their latest one. I literally just saw on Twitter before I hopped on here. So they open up the Rwandan market. No, they're going everywhere.
Wow.
Right. And, for right now, like Europe, there's a lot of brands in there. None of them have yet excelled. And a lot of it is, down to when I speak to them about their pricing strategy in Europe, is they basically say, we look at what competitors have on the market and we price against what they offer. Right. So that's why, could they make their cars cheaper? Maybe, but but by European standards, our cars are worth this much money because we have better tech than that car. We have more range than that car. So we should, this is the price. This is a value, the value of our car in this market, right? Because you see people go like, why is a BYD this much in China and this much in Europe or the UK? Is that because of taxes and tariffs? And the answer is not entirely. No, they see that Peugeot puts out a hatchback for £40,000 with 250 miles of range. Then they think their BYD Seal is with 340 miles of range is a better car, so they should charge £45,000 for it. Right? That's their reasoning about it. Right? They're not going at this like the Japanese and the Koreans did, where they came in like super cheap, super long warranties, 0% money down, interest-free loans. Any way to get somebody in there to buy one. Right? Like, no, they're not doing that. They're coming in from a completely different angle of, we are tech, we are luxury, we are top shelf products. Yeah. It will take some time.
Can you tell us about
quickly
the?
To answer,
go ahead.
So just quickly to answer a question, someone asked, will the Subbrand come to save us? Any solid rumors? So what I heard, so Q3, that's when the Subbrand is rolling out. So yeah, question answered.
So, Will, I was going to ask you, since you were just in the UK for a while, what was your impression of the market there? You drove the BYD Seal. Was there much else on the road, like MGs or?
It was interesting. Again, I say this in my video, but I say it was interesting being on the road in England and seeing different EVs than I see in China, right? Because you've got the Korean EVs, for example. Like, there's nowhere near as many EVs on the road in England as in China, obviously, but you get to see like the Hyundais and the Kias. Yes, there's MGs there. Every now and again, you'll see something like an Aura, right? A BYD Atto 3. A lot of Audi e-trons, right, at charge stations, and obviously a lot of Teslas, right? So, yeah, but it was interesting to see a different makeup of types of EVs on the road that maybe aren't in China or are not as popular in China. Yeah.
Okay, I got another question. If Volkswagen made a electric Santana, how many millions of cars would they sell in China?
Did you? I wrote a tweet. I wrote a tweet about this the other day.
Did you?
Did you see this on Twitter? Like
I don't have
somebody
Twitter,
wrote something.
but
Oh, somebody wrote something about, I don't know, like a retro car or something, and I just wrote back, when will VW make an electrified version of the Mark II Jetta or the old Santana and use them as taxis, right? Like, because I think that would be epic, because for like a decade, like they were the taxis that you saw, in a lot of China. It's one of those things. They could sell loads, but in my city now, all those Jettas and all those Santanas have all been replaced by BYD E5s for the most part. Yeah. So they're like the, wave down taxis, and now BYD E5s, because there's a BYD factory in Changsha. And what you normally find is the local taxis are normally a car which is produced by a nearby factory. So VW used to produce the MK2 Jettas in Changsha, I believe. So that's why we used to have those, right? Or police cars are Mitsubishi PEVs, because Mitsubishi, before it closed down, was in Changsha. So they, or it'd be like Fiat, because that was also in Changsha, right? So they do like local, mass kind of selling deals, right? But yeah, the Santanas, that's a throwback. Yeah.
I know when I first came to China like 12 years ago, it seemed like every car on the road was a Santana. So it's changed a lot. It has changed a lot in this time.
Yeah, well, there's a good middle road car that, and everybody wanted sedan back then, SUVs still hadn't, taken over yet. Yeah.
So a few more questions from you guys, and a few more questions from any commenters in the chat before we head out of here tonight.
I saw this since James from the UK too. Not much of a choice there. Huh? Not so many out there.
No, there's not a huge range. Yeah.
The right hand drive market is like you really got limited choices, especially in Europe. But if you have like
Thailand, so
thing. But we got the Chinese option. We got UID and everything. Like they go full stream there, right? PAC Ion and all of this. So in UK, it's like we were waiting for NIO to go with the right hand drive into the UK. Then we kind of have a feeling that some of the rich guy would just import from the UK, Thailand. I really still hope that would happen. Right? Even Model S and X are not so right-hand drive in UK. For those who for those who still want it, they sold that richer, right? The thing that you sort of like use as the a long arm. That's funny.
So you can still buy. I think in the UK you can as well. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe you can now buy left-hand drive Teslas. Yes.
And they provide you with the reacher, so you can use that as the car in the gate and this kind of stuff. That's funny. Okay, we give like a few more questions, not to run the time too long. Yeah, Eric.
I don't have a question right now for Will, unless we want to talk about Power Journey. I don't know if we do or not.
We can.
So I have one question. So, in your opinion, what are some of the brands to watch out for in terms of competitors for NIO? Okay, so like guys that could be taking NIO's market share, cars, all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I know. I've seen it today. The Porsche Macan EV.
Oh,
looks like an EC6.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a real, because that shiny Porsche badge is really going to be tempting for a lot of people. So I think like, even if it's not that good, again, like, people are not, people don't buy Porsche SUVs because of the sporting heritage of like the 911, right? They don't, the 911s, like they're buying it because it's got a Porsche badge, and everyone knows what a Porsche badge stands for in China, which is money, right? And that's what, not sporting heritage in China. It stands for money, and that's why everybody wants it. So I actually think, you know, when I saw the Macan, I don't think it's particularly great looking at the back, particularly, but I think that is potentially a lot of people will want that. Yeah, in China.
Wow, yeah. I mean, SUVs are the most popular option here in China, and seeing how Taycan has been selling so well for Porsche, and they're launching an SUV with EV SUV. That's a
small way out.
That's a deadly combo. That's a deadly combo.
Yeah. So I think, you know, but it's also nice that you know, when you start thinking about NIO competitors, you are thinking about people like Porsche. It's a nice position to be in where, you know, if I think across the Chinese manufacturers, there isn't anybody that jumps out in my mind to be on the same level in terms of the premiumness of the brand, right? You know, so yeah, that's who I'd liken it to. Yeah.
How much is the Macan EV, the new one?
I don't know. They just released it. I don't know.
I saw it's like 79K starting US dollar. So
yeah,
with options, you're looking probably 100 plus.
Yeah. So it's going to be more like, it might eat more into things like the ES7 and ES8.
ES8,
right?
Yes.
I mean, obviously it's a smaller car than the ES8, but again, like, you know, people don't. Cross shopping can kind of be weird in China. People are cross shopping with the money they have, not because I want a 6-seat vehicle, right? You know, I want to spend this much. I want to spend 1 million RMB on a car. Like, what million RMB cars are there out there? Let me have a look at them, right? And then make some decisions like that. Yeah, the Macan. Yeah, somebody just said, yeah, the Macan definitely will be more expensive than, say, an ES6. It will be, but if you've got $1 million yuan or, you know, 800,000 RMB, you know, do you go to NIO or do you start looking at the in the Porsche showroom? I know where my wife would want to go, and unfortunately, my wife wouldn't want to go to NIO. She would definitely, white, and definitely go to the Porsche showroom, right? Yeah.
It ain't gonna swap battery though, right? It doesn't have that battery swap tech and stuff.
No, it's not going to be as good as an EV. No way.
So it's just the badge, the Porsche badge.
Yeah. But no, I can't think of anybody. Mr. P, to go back directly to your question, I can't think. Nobody like jumps out in my head. That's a good and a bad thing, I think, because it also, you know, they kind of have, you know, not necessarily a direct competitor, but at the same time, is that because the price segment that NIO is in is a difficult price segment for a Chinese brand to carve out. Earlier, we were talking about Hi-Fi. You know, again, they were actually, you know, towards the top end of NIO. Yes, the Y was a bit cheaper. That was their kind of way, I think, to try to salvage the fact they weren't selling many cars. We're like, well, maybe if we go cheaper, we can sell more cars. It's a tough price point. It's a lot of money, right? You know, it's a lot of money, and there's still a lot of people out there who want a foreign car for that money. You know, a lot of people don't like that, but that's just the truth of the matter.
All right. Before we move on to Power Journeys, another question from a viewer. Will, what do you think NIO can do to improve marketing, in your opinion?
Where, in China, or just in
everywhere? I
think they need to do some more traditional advertising. I think they need TV adverts. You know, I mean, I don't watch a lot of Chinese like stuff anymore. Like I'm on Netflix, but you know, on iQIYI, like, are they advertising their cars on the platforms? You know, are they going, you know, billboards? Yes, I've seen some. Yes, I mean, they would say that their customers are high tech, but it's also money. Like, a lot of people with money aren't high, you know, necessarily the youngest, most high tech people. I don't know. I think NIO do a lot of marketing. I really am always confused as to why it's not not hitting. It literally could just be that there's so much noise in the market, it's really, really hard to stand out. I think that's what people don't like. There's something like 150 EV models on the market in China, right? It's a lot of noise that you need to cut through, right? So celebrity endorsement, do they go back to the good old Chinese marketing tactics of getting, an A-list celebrity, to be their ambassador? I'm sure they do. They do. I just don't know who they are because I'm not, up to date with my Chinese singers and actors. But I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys all have NIOs or had NIOs? You all in China. What do you think they could do better for marketing?
I think whatever marketing they do, their messaging needs to be more clear about who they are and why they're different and why you should get them. That's my biggest thing. Like, people don't know about battery swap. They don't know about NIO service. Like, you have to get that from word of mouth, which I don't think is the best way.
Yeah, maybe too many directions they're trying to market, right? They're trying to market everything at once. Like, we're fast, we look good, we've got really good ADAS, but we're still waiting for NAD, but we're going to have really good ADAS. We're going, we've got battery swap, we've got, maybe just literally focus on the real unique selling points that no one else is doing, which, I mean, a bit late now, people are doing battery swap, but we, are the largest battery swappers. We have a fantastic service, right? I think these are the two key differentiators for NIO. Cutting away everything else, whether or not you like the look of the car, whatever they want to claim about ADAS or whatever, like, that's a hard sell. That's a hard thing to prove to customers. It's difficult. Battery swapping, I think, like you say, Eric, I think they need to do, I don't know, maybe they need to paint the battery swap stations not grey, maybe so they stand out more, right? So people actually look at them, because at the moment they're just big grey boxes in the corner of a parking.
It's kind of their identity, though, right? It's like they're minimalist, they're elegant. That's kind of what NIO wants to be, right? So they don't want to be like contribute to the noise of whether it's like pollution, visual pollution, or noise pollution, or air pollution, right? So
maybe they should go red for Chinese New Year.
Yeah. Put some lanterns up.
Yeah.
So on the thing of endorsements, actually they got a few endorsements. A famous soccer player, a retired soccer player, Chinese soccer player, actually bought NIO's ES8, and they actually filmed a short video with him, but it's only like, I think that's it. Nothing
I'm talking
more.
world beaters. I'm talking world beater stars. I'm not talking about like Chinese football stars. No offense to Chinese football, but I'm talking about the Jackie Chans of the world. Real A-list, real massive honking stars. Household names, right? That's what they need to land. Angela Baby, someone like that. Go out, pay the money. Unfortunately, it's so funny that in China it still works. That advertising still works.
Exactly. But NIO CEO said that he actually is against that. He said he doesn't want to do the thing where he pays somebody tens of millions of RMB to promote our car, but at the end of the day, they don't drive it. And he said that he would do it if they bought their car, which I think is just quite dumb. Yeah. But it's just
I mean, he can put a stipulation in the contract. I'll pay you tens of millions of RMB, but you have to drive it for a year, right? And pretend like you bought it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
well, now they've got the ET9 though. The ET9, they should be trying to get stars to use it as their chauffeur car, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they've been trying to use the ET7 for a lot of events. We've seen them at the kind of these different events, and the NIO ET7 is like the chosen car of the event, and it ferries around important people, right? But I think you need to go on to the Chinese talk shows, and do you know when you watch a Chinese show, ad placement is everywhere, from the bottles of water they're drinking to the car that they're going from point A to point B in, and it's always people like VW or Honda or and it's all old school marketing, but it also puts it right in the in the eyes of people. You know, go find a famous TV show like Baba Chuna, let them go on a bit of a road journey. While they're doing a road journey, stipulating a contract, they need to do a battery swap on the way. Boom. There's hundreds of millions of people that just watched a car swap its battery, right?
Yeah, that's good script there. Yeah, why not? Yeah, the kids are so eager, like, Dad, we're not gonna make it. Don't worry, kid. Why not?
Yeah.
It's a good script there, man.
Should we talk about power journeys?
Well, I think you should just
go.
make it quick because we're going to try to wrap this up here relatively soon. But we also encourage people to go watch your power journey on your channel. But yeah, introduce it real quick for us.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, Eric, you also did one as well. So, the NIO Power Journeys, they said that they're going to open one at the end of Europe. At the end of Europe. At the end of last year in Europe, they did, right?
Yeah,
so the Power Journey, for those that don't know, is basically where NIO curates journeys that you can take which have enough charging and swaps along the way for you to make the journey, and actually more than enough where you can go off the actual main road and explore a little bit. And some of these are less interesting than others. The one near me is not that interesting because you don't need to swap to get from Changsha to Henshan. But the one I went on, which goes from Chengdu to Shangri-La, or Shangri-La as in the West we call it, goes up over 4,800 meters. We passed the world's second highest civilian airport and the world's first highest civilian airport along the way. That's how high these places are. So it means you've got to have oxygen and stuff like that, because you might get lightheaded. But it was really, really fun, and it was super simple. There was plenty of charging along the way. So if you haven't seen it, of course, me being biased, I would say go watch it. But it was really good fun. It was a lot of work though, to film it, to edit it, but I think that I'm going to do more of them, right? The only problem is I need to get to them, right? Because there's not that many around where I am in China. The other thing about NIO Power Journeys is a lot of them allow you to kind of take these kind of famous driving or famous scenic routes, which are a little bit remote, right? And that's kind of the beauty of it, that where you would worry if you were going to, say, Inner Mongolia, or even where I went, driving up onto a plateau, you would really fear that there wouldn't be enough charging. There might not even be that many petrol stations about. So that's what they do. They basically ensure that you can easily make that trip and journey. Eric, you did yours. You're up there. You did yours in the west of China as well, right? Just below where I was.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, pretty close. Yeah, I went to Xishuangbanna from Kunming. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, the whole point is to take you on a place that is hopefully going to be a beautiful drive, right? But also a place where you're probably not really expecting to take an EV. And NIO has provided lots of infrastructure, and not just the infrastructure, but they've really told you like what the route is, how to get there, and what you can see and do. So it's like you said, it's curated and it's really good. And they didn't do their first one in Europe, like you mentioned. They have launched it from Netherlands to Germany. It's called Canals and Castles, so you can see that on the NIO app, on the EU app. So it's pretty cool. And I definitely think, even though you're biased, Will, I think people should definitely go watch your videos, your whole series of your power journey, because it's really, really good. I enjoyed it. So
thank you very much. Yes. So and also they should check out yours. I mean, the amount that you get done is very impressive, Eric. The amount of content that you do. Like, I was watching Eric with his yellow ET5. I was watching a lot of videos of Eric with his yellow ET5. Yeah, I think the other thing though is on the app as well, that, like you said, like they will tell you, the different places of interest that you'll pass or that are nearby that you can go and see as well. So it helps if you want to do that journey. You can look where you're going, you can figure out where you want to stay, and it's very easy to build a trip and a kind of holiday around it. Yeah, just don't
and you can
try to film it, because that it's not. It's a bit
it's
of
harder.
a hassle.
But they're kind of cool too, because like you can look on the app and you can see like the hashtags, or people have gone on the power journeys and shared their power journeys as well. So like these are the kind of things that I personally think, like, again, talk about marketing, that NIO could really do better, because it's all in the app. You see it in the app, but like a lot of people don't know about all the different things that NIO offers you. It's not just power swapping. It's not just NIO houses. There's like so much stuff, like product services and like just like content that you can do with your car that they really help you help promote to the users. So there's a lot to the NIO ownership experience for sure, and power journey is just a very
community.
But it's very like kind of insular, like not a lot of people know about it. So it's
like
a challenge
NIO
for NIO
partnership stuff as well. Joy Partners.
Joy Partners
at NIO businesses owned by NIO owners. Like no one knows about that. One thing that I didn't know, even though I'd reviewed NIOs before, was that I didn't realize that my ET7 had a built-in toll gate card, right? Until I actually got the car. No one mentioned that to me at no point through the buying, through the buying process or looking at the car. No one mentioned the fact that you don't need to buy an ETC, like a toll gate card reader, because there's one in the car. You don't even need a card. You just pretty much just connected. It's very simple, and that's actually one of the features I use the most, and I'm always so happy about, because on my other car, my wife's car, she ordered one from Alipay, and it all messed up. She messed it up. I don't know how she messed it up, but now it requires her to go to a government place to undo what she's done, so then she can reorder a new one. I got my car, and within 5 minutes, I had an ETC, card like done, and I was like, "Oh, that's
it's really convenient."
Yeah. But I think you're right. Like, there's so much inside the NIO app and the NIO community which people don't know outside. But again, like I think picking one or two things first to talk about, because there's just so much. You can't market everything at once, and I do think that this is a bit of a downside to NIO. I think also sometimes they're trying to keep up with the Joneses a little bit as well. They see other car companies, putting out videos of like AVP, so they had to go and do that video showing their AVP and also it battery swapping along the way, and it's just like, let's focus on what NIO has, which your competitors don't have at all, right? Like, really focus on the battery swapping, really focus on what was the other thing I said? Oh, NIO service, right? Really focus on those things, because they are what define NIO from any other brand out there, right?
True.
Agreed.
True.
So I think if we don't have anything else to get into tonight, we're gonna probably try to start wrapping it up, because we are going to try to keep our shows to only maybe an hour, a little over an hour weekly, because it's starting to get a little long last time. So any other questions, guys?
No.
Actually,
do you guys have anything to tell me about your NIO experience? Ting, you're the newest NIO owner. What has been your most favorite thing about being a NIO owner, because you are a Tesla owner, still a Tesla owner, but what has been your number one thing? I'm sure you said it before, but you say it again.
It's like what you said, man. Battery swap, upgradability, and service. On a long trip, I just tap on the app, like I want to upgrade my 75 kilowatt hour to 100 just for a day. When I reach the place, I just swap it back. I mean, what convenience is this, right? No other EVs can give you this. Even Tesla, I cannot go to Tesla service and, hey, I want to have 125 kilowatt hour because I need to have a between charge at least 500 kilometers. They will just say, they just give you, right? No other EVs can give you this.
And Mr. P, you're still on your NT1 EC6? Right? Are you thinking of upgrading? Are you going straight to the ET9?
I'm probably gonna go for Gen 3 EC7. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's probably like
All right.
3 years down the line, probably. Well, and we'll have to see how things go. And I haven't had any like big problems with my car, so could be just driving this, for the next 10 years.
I thought you were gonna pass that on to
That's-
Little P.
Yeah, possibly. 20 years later.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean that's also what a lot of people in China do, right? They'll drive a car for 10 years, 100,000 kilometers, and and then they'll sell it for nothing, right? There's a lot of people out there that will, do 10 years in a car, 100,000 miles, right? Or 100,000 kilometers even. Yeah. And Eric, you're not getting another car?
Not anytime soon. We'll see.
Free. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. It's my question.
Maybe if they have a subscription model in China, Eric
would you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you get?
What if they have
you would use subscription?
I mean, I do think the subscription model, like in Europe, is really good, and I would consider it if I needed a car. But like in the city, I don't need a car, so I don't know.
Yeah.
If I go on road trip, I could probably just ask NIO for a car. At this point, right?
I tried to convince them to let me pick up a car in Europe and drive it to the UK for the month.
They said no.
They said yeah, but it started getting like really complicated. But the other thing was like the subscription thing. Like I just rented a car in the UK, right? I borrowed my parents' car for one of my parents' car for most of the time. But the last week I rented a car. I rented an SUV. It turned out to be a Mercedes GLA, which I wasn't happy with. I actually wanted a Nissan Qashqai because it has a more square, big boot. But that thing, in the end, like that costs like a £400 for renting, right? So I mean, like a NIO month subscription would have been well worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I think my subscription for the ET7 was like €1,500 for a month, but you don't have unlimited range. At that time you did when they first launched, but yeah, if I would have actually had to pay for all the kilometers I drove, it would have been quite a bit of money. But thankfully I didn't.
ET5 touring would do me. That would do me as a nice rental vehicle for a month or couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, around Europe would be great.
It'd be a great car.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, no new NIO vehicles this year. So, I'm hoping that someone from the PR team calls us.
Yeah, me too.
Record some of the sub-brands. I'm probably going to message NIO maybe tomorrow and just confirm that, hey, when the sub-brand does launch in China, I would like to record that.
And once you get your hands on the sub-brand, make sure you come back on our show, Will. And everybody, make sure you go check out Will's channel at ChinaDriven.
Yes, please do. Thank you very much. Great podcast. I've been watching some of them. The last one you did, I haven't finished the last one.
It's long.
That was a long one, yeah. But I'm halfway through it.
So with Frankie, the one with Frankie.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to go finish that off this week. But I've been listening a little bit also while I've been putting it on in the car and listening to it over the Bluetooth as well.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button too, Will.
I will do. Yes, of course.
We got a few of the viewers already join your channel, subscribe to your channel already, Will. So hope
and I'm also on Twitter or X if anybody's on that platform as well. If you want to see my ramblings, sometimes on there. Yeah, and that's
same name, ChinaDriven.
As ChinaDriven.
Yeah, also ChinaDriven. Yeah,
same.
At ChinaDriven.
YouTube and X.
Yes, X. Yeah, I mean, it's been great. Thanks for having me on. Great to see you all.
You come again, Will. I'll drag you here again, man.
Next time in Beijing, we'll have to meet up because we've never met face to face, so we'll have to grab something to eat or drink next time I'm in Beijing. Ting, I'll see you at some point, and the same to Eric. I'm sure I'll see you as I'm going around.
Yep. See you. Thank you, Will.
man.
Thanks everybody for
Thanks,
joining us
later.
tonight.
Thanks a lot, Will. And thanks everyone
guys.
for joining our show tonight. I will try to keep the time tight so the guests will not be too tired. Yeah.
Bye bye. Have a good night.
All right.
See you
Good
later.
night, everyone. Good night.